One word, and my guards will end you.
Then hear one word first. Peace.
Every year, thousands of families are torn apart by war, disaster, or things we still don't understand. But in one story that spread quietly through certain circles online, a mother lost her daughter for years. She was not just any mother. She was a queen, and she never stopped waiting. The truth behind what happened will shock you. First, you'll learn how a simple human, someone with no power, no army, and no title, ended up standing in front of a queen who had grieved for years. Second, you'll discover why nobody in her own kingdom could find her daughter, even with all their advanced technology. And third, you'll see the moment everything changed. The moment a mother saw her daughter's face again after years of silence. This is a story about hope, about patience, about what happens when the right person shows up at exactly the right time. It sounds like fiction. In many ways, it is. This is a docu-style narrative, story told the way real events might unfold, with some details reportedly pieced together and others clearly imagined for the tale. Think of it as speculative history, the kind fans of HFY Sci-Fi love best. Stories where humans, small and simple as we seem, end up changing everything. Let me show you exactly how this happened. Queen Valith ruled over the Thessari Empire. Her people had blue skin, sharp eyes, and technology far beyond anything on Earth. They had ships that crossed galaxies. They had cities built from living crystal. They had lived for thousands of years without war. But even with all of that power, Queen Valith could not find her daughter. Her daughter's name was Leora. She was young, barely past childhood by Thessari standards. She had purple eyes and a soft laugh that used to fill the palace halls. Everyone loved her. The guards loved her. The servants loved her. Even the coldest generals softened when she walked by. Then, one day, she was gone. It happened during a diplomatic trip. Leora had been traveling with a small group to a neutral space station, a place where different species met to trade and talk. It was supposed to be simple, safe, routine. But the ship never arrived. For weeks, Thessari scouts searched every route the ship could have taken. They found nothing. No wreckage. No signal. No trace. Queen Valith refused to believe her daughter was dead. She said it over and over to her advisors. She is alive. I would know if she wasn't. Years passed. The search slowed down. Other kingdoms whispered that the queen was in denial. They said grief had clouded her judgment. But she kept a room in the palace exactly the way Leora left it. The same books on the shelf. The same soft blanket on the bed. She visited that room every single day. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, on a small, forgotten planet called Earth, a human man named Ethan Cole had no idea any of this was happening. He worked as a low-level translator for a small trade company. His job was boring. He listened to alien traders talk about shipping routes and price changes. Nothing exciting ever happened to him. Ethan was not special. He was not rich. He was not powerful. He was simply a man who was good with words and patient with people. Or in his case, patient with strange alien customers who often confused human customs. One day, a ship landed near his trading post. It was old, damaged, barely holding together. The crew that stepped out looked tired, hungry, and afraid. Ethan was told to help translate for them since his supervisor was busy. He walked over, expecting another boring exchange about goods and prices. Instead, he saw a young alien woman sitting quietly near the back of the group. She looked different from the traders. Her clothes, though torn and dirty, were made from fine material. Her eyes carried a kind of sadness that made Ethan pause. Something about her felt important. He didn't know why. He just felt it. He walked closer, unsure of what to say. She looked up at him with tired, purple eyes. "Do you understand me?" she asked in a shaky voice, using a translator device clipped to her collar. "Yes," Ethan said gently. "I understand you. You're safe here." She stared at him for a long moment, as if she hadn't heard those words in a very long time. That single moment, simple exchange between a tired stranger and a curious human, was the beginning of something much bigger than either of them realized. Ethan learned her name was Leora. She did not tell him she was a princess. Not at first. She said she had been traveling with a group of smugglers who found her drifting in an escape pod years ago. They kept her alive but never let her contact anyone. They used her translation skills and knowledge of trade routes to survive in dangerous parts of space. She had been passed between different crews over the years. Each time, she hoped someone would help her get home. Each time, she was disappointed. Ethan noticed she flinched whenever loud voices barked orders nearby. He noticed she kept looking over her shoulder, even when no one was watching her. He didn't push her to share more. He simply brought her food, water, and a blanket. Small things, human things. But to her, it felt like the first real kindness she had experienced in years. Over the next few days, Ethan spent time with her whenever he could. He learned she loved reading, the same way he did. He learned she once had a home filled with warmth and laughter, though she refused to say exactly where. One evening, as they sat near the trading post, she finally opened up. "I am not just a trader's assistant," she said quietly. "I am the daughter of a queen." Ethan blinked, unsure if he heard correctly. "A queen? Like an actual queen?" She nodded. "The Thessari Empire. My mother is Queen Valith. I disappeared years ago. Everyone probably thinks I'm dead." Ethan sat there in stunned silence. He had heard stories about the Thessari Empire before, mostly through rumors traders shared about their advanced ships and ancient history. But he never imagined he would be sitting next to their missing princess. "Why haven't you tried to contact them?" he asked. Leora's eyes filled with tears. "I tried. For years. But the smugglers destroyed every communication device I found. They said if my mother's forces found me, they'd lose everything. I was valuable to them. Not as a person. As leverage." Ethan felt anger rise in his chest, quiet but firm. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. But he knew, right then, that he could not simply let this go. "I'll help you get home," he said. Leora looked at him with disbelief. "You don't even know where that is." "Then help me learn," Ethan said simply. It wasn't a promise made from bravery or ambition. It was a promise made from something much simpler, basic human decency. He saw someone in pain, and he wanted to help. That night, Ethan made a decision that would change both of their lives. He decided to help a stranger find her way back to a mother who had never stopped waiting. Getting Leora home was not simple. The Thessari Empire was far away, protected by strict rules about who could enter their space. Random humans without diplomatic status were rarely allowed anywhere near their territory. Ethan spent weeks researching, asking careful questions to traders who had dealt with Thessari ships before. Most laughed at him. A human trying to contact an empire. It sounded impossible. But Ethan didn't give up. He eventually learned about a neutral communication relay station, used by multiple species to send emergency signals across long distances. If he could get a message through there, it might reach someone in the Thessari government. The problem was, the smugglers who once held Leora were still searching for her. They had lost a valuable asset, and they wanted her back. One night, While Ethan was preparing a message for the relay station, a group of rough-looking men showed up at the trading post, asking questions about a missing alien girl. Ethan's stomach dropped. He recognized the description they gave. He rushed back to where Leora was staying, a small room above a supply shop where she had been hiding. "They're looking for you," he said, breathless. "We need to move now." Leora's face went pale. "If they find me, they'll take me away again. I'll never see my mother again." Ethan didn't waste time thinking. He grabbed a bag with basic supplies and helped her slip out through the back of the building. They moved quickly through narrow streets, avoiding main roads where the smugglers' men were asking around. They found a small transport heading toward the relay station, and Ethan used what little savings he had to secure passage for both of them. During the trip, Leora finally told him more about her life before she disappeared. She spoke about her mother's gentle laugh, the way she used to sing old Thessari songs before bedtime, and how the palace always smelled like sweet blossoms from the royal gardens. "She used to tell me stories about the stars," Leora said softly. "She said every star holds a story we haven't discovered yet." Ethan listened quietly, feeling the weight of her words. He realized this wasn't just about helping a stranger anymore. It was about giving a mother back her child, and giving a daughter back her home. When they finally reached the relay station, Ethan carefully composed a message, using every bit of formal language he could remember from his translation training. He addressed it directly to the Thessari royal court, explaining who Leora was and where they could be found. It felt like a small message sent into a massive, uncertain universe. They had no way of knowing if it would ever be seen. All they could do now was wait. Days passed, then a full week. Leora grew anxious, pacing back and forth in the small room they rented near the relay station. "What if they don't believe it? What if my mother thinks it's a trick?" Ethan tried to stay calm for her sake, even though his own nerves were building. "If she's anything like you described, she won't give up on the smallest chance." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, Queen Valeth received an unusual report. A message, marked as unofficial and unverified, had come through a distant relay station. It claimed to be from a human, speaking on behalf of someone who identified herself as Princess Leora. Her advisors were skeptical. "Your Majesty, we've received false leads before. This could easily be another trick, or worse, a trap." But Queen Valeth read the message herself. Something about the details felt different. The sender mentioned small things, things only someone close to Leora would know. A favorite childhood story about singing stars. A nickname only her mother used. Queen Valeth's hands trembled as she read those words. "Prepare a discreet retrieval team," she ordered. "Immediately." Her advisors hesitated. "Your Majesty, if this is false..." "If there's even the smallest chance," she said firmly, "I will not let it pass." Back on the relay station, Ethan and Leora were resting when a sudden alert rang through the building. A small, elegant ship, unlike anything seen in that region, was approaching for docking clearance. Leora's breath caught. That's a Thessari royal vessel." Ethan felt his heart pound. "Are you sure?" She nodded, tears already forming in her eyes. "I'd recognize that design anywhere." They rushed toward the docking area, weaving through confused station workers who had never seen such advanced technology up close. As the ship's doors opened, a small group of guards stepped out first, scanning the area carefully. Then, stepping past them, came Queen Valeth herself, wrapped in a simple traveling cloak instead of her usual royal robes. She had come personally, without waiting for confirmation reports or official procedures. Her eyes searched the crowd desperately. Then she saw her. Leora stood frozen for a moment, unable to move. Years of hope, fear, and heartbreak collided in a single second. "Mama," she whispered. Queen Valeth's composed. Royal posture shattered instantly. She rushed forward, pulling her daughter into her arms as if she might disappear again if she let go even slightly. "I told them," she said through tears. "I told them you were alive." Ethan stood back, watching quietly, feeling like an outsider to something deeply personal, yet knowing he had played a part in making that moment possible. The reunion between Queen Valeth and Leora lasted for what felt like forever, though in reality it was only a few emotional minutes. Guards stood respectfully at a distance, giving them space. Eventually, Queen Valeth looked up and noticed Ethan standing quietly near the docking entrance. "Who is this?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. Leora wiped her tears and gently took Ethan's hand, pulling him closer. "Mother, this is Ethan. He's the one who helped me get home. Without him, I would still be lost out there." Queen Valeth studied Ethan carefully. Humans were still a mystery to many in her empire, seen as a young, unpredictable species. But she saw something in his eyes, simple honesty, without any hidden agenda. "You risked your safety for a stranger," she said. "Why?" Ethan shrugged humbly. "She needed help. That's really all it was." Queen Valeth stepped closer and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, an act of respect rarely given to outsiders. "You gave me back my daughter. There is no debt large enough to repay that." Ethan smiled softly. "Seeing her happy is enough for me." In the following weeks, word of what happened spread quietly through diplomatic circles. The Thessari Empire, known for keeping strict distance from younger species like humans, began showing unusual interest in Earth's people. Trade agreements improved. Communication channels opened. Some even suggested it was the beginning of a new, closer relationship between two very different worlds. Leora chose to stay close to her mother for a long time after her return, healing slowly from years of hardship. But she never forgot Ethan's kindness. She made sure he was welcomed into Thessari circles, not as a hero paraded around for recognition, but as a trusted friend of the royal family. Ethan returned to his simple life on the trading post, though it was never quite the same again. He often received messages from Leora, sharing stories about her recovery, her mother's ongoing gratitude, and small updates about her life slowly rebuilding. Queen Valeth, in private moments, would often reflect on how young human with no power or status ended up doing what her entire empire's forces could not. It reminded her of something she used to tell Leora as a child. Every star holds a story we haven't discovered yet. Sometimes, the most important stories come from the smallest, most unexpected places. Here's the twist few people expected. Queen Valeth later admitted, in private conversations shared only with close advisors, that her empire's advanced technology had actually detected faint signals from Leora's location months earlier. But those signals were dismissed as false readings, simply because their systems weren't built to recognize signals sent through outdated, primitive human relay stations. In other words, the most powerful empire in the galaxy nearly missed saving their own princess, simply because they underestimated a simpler form of technology. It took a basic human message, sent through an old-fashioned system, to reach where their advanced scanners had failed. This ties back perfectly to the opening question. How did a queen with unlimited resources fail to find her daughter for years, while a simple human succeeded within weeks? Sometimes, power blinds us to simple solutions. Sometimes, the smallest voice reaches the farthest places. If this story made you think differently about strength and simplicity, wait until you see what happens next in this growing relationship between humans and the Thessari Empire. If this opened your eyes, let's recap what we uncovered today. A queen never gave up searching for her lost daughter, even when everyone told her to. A simple human proved that kindness and persistence can outmatch even the most advanced technology. And sometimes, The answers we search for come from the places we least expect. This is exactly why stories like this resonate so deeply. They remind us that power isn't always about strength or status. Sometimes, it's about showing up when someone needs you most. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button right now. It helps this channel grow and brings more stories like this to your feed. Make sure you're subscribed, because next week, we're diving into an even deeper story about what happens when humanity's simple ingenuity begins reshaping relationships with advanced alien civilizations across the galaxy. And if you want more deep dives into HFY Sci-Fi stories like this one, delivered straight to your inbox, check the link in the description to join our free newsletter. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in Ethan's position, a normal person with no power, but the chance to help someone in need, would you have taken that risk? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching until the end. Stories like this remind us that even the smallest actions can create the biggest changes. See you in the next story.